are broken into two basic categories. One category is the increase in scope over time, and the second category is the increase in the duration of the project. As you recall, when we started this project, we had a budget of about $85 million, and that's what our fees were based on. These are construction costs, not on total project costs. And then about 2 years ago, in 2012, we recognized, and that came before the Facilities Subcommittee about that time, I forgot the exact date, we went to about $660,000, and that again had to do with increase in scope overall, the addition of the hillside stabilization, and a whole host of other issues. But at that time, the district decided not to actually increase our fees in the sense of adding money to the contract, but rather to keep our fee at the same level and reduce scope of fee, or reduce fees. And so we removed construction administration from the later phases of the project in order to maintain and keep the fee at the same level. With the understanding is as we move forward here, because there was some funding issues at the time, that we would then restore that. Well, subsequently now, with all the final discussion that's gone in and understanding of all the different aspects of the project, we are now at $134,375,168, and that was presented to you on February 11th, 2014 as a Facilities Subcommittee, where we talked about that, and that dollar amount was understood and approved and actually moved forward to the board. So there was also another scope increase there. So basically, this first component takes us from an $85 million project to a $135 million project based on scope. And so the two things we needed to do is add our full scope of services back into the project, which would include bidding, construction administration, and DSA closeout for the new campus, which will be starting construction next spring, the demolition of the existing temporary campus, and the construction of the final phase, which is the fields. And so we've asked for an increase there, and this is based on straight calculation, percentage based. It was calculated the exact same way that we calculated our original fees. Then the second issue is the extended project schedule. When we started this project and signed the contract back in 2010, Mr. Savage and I sat down and said, okay, based on the number of phases that we have on the scope of the project we're looking at, we should be about 5.5 years to finish this project, maybe 6 at the outside. Based on, and then we built our schedule, we built our fees, we built everything around that concept. And that's well documented as to the written schedules that were presented at the time to the district, and also we all sat in the Pinole Valley City Chamber Council and talked to the school and talked to the City Council and told them when we thought this was going to be done. Well, now as a result of, again, the hillside stabilization has a major factor of that, the detention basin, the issues that moving forward on the project as a whole due to funding back in 2012, we have now gone from roughly a 5.5 to 6 year schedule to a full 10 years. And typical architectural fees are based on an expected duration. You know, we can come back, it's always been, I could do an elementary school for you in 2 to 2.5 years, I can do a middle school in 3 to 3.5 years, and a high school is typically around 5, before 5.5 years of all the phases. Well, now we're at 10 years. The expected final completion, so when you can hit that first baseball out of your brand new field, when we take the portables, the temporary housing off there, is going to be in 2020. So there was just no expectation for it to be that time frame, and frankly, to have the staff out there to move this forward during that time frame was just not in our original fee. And so working together with Ms. LeBlanc and Dr. Harder, we developed a percentage-based approach to solving that issue, so that the full scope of the fees, for adding to our original fees, for increasing them based on scope additions that we've had, and dealing with the additional 4 years of duration, all comes within industry norms of a very complex project of this size and of this duration at roughly exactly 12% of the total project cost, or excuse me, the total construction budget. So that we met, and we reached agreement on those based on that discussion here There is another item out there. It's a menu item. It's an optional item for the district to consider. And the only reason I present this is because I know that it's something that you've asked for in the past, and that is to have a full-time architect representative on site, full-time construction administration. And this is typically outside of the norm of what would be considered within typical industry standard fees. But I went ahead and I included that as a line item as well for the district to choose.
And what was the amount of that line item?
So just to give you an idea of where we were before, we started out at the $85 million.
Give me the numbers.
Give you numbers right now. Just give me.
I don't need a lot of.
Okay. To full-time on-site construction administration for 59 months of construction. Now, you also, part of our contract included construction administration fees.
Right.
So I've subtracted that from the overall calculation. 25% was subtracted from the calculation, and what is left is $806,251 to have someone on site for 59 months. That's 5 years. That's starting next spring until 2020. And that individual right now is designated to be included.
And then the first part, the increase for the ad service.
The ad service increase of from 80, we were, just to give you a basis, at $85 million, we are about 8.6 million. And based on the calculations, there's an increase of 4.3 million. So that brings us to 12.9 million.
So, yeah, this is fun. I mean, I've been wanting to get this resolved for the last year and a half. So, for me, but go ahead.
And then the final thing, just to give you a number, to do the extended project schedule, again, staying within the normal percentages, that calculates out at 3.2 million. So if the district chose to move forward with all three aspects, which is scope, schedule, and on-site CA, the total additional would be $8,345,131. $8,345,131, and Ms. LeBlanc has got the calculations